it's time for another Get Ready With Me. Judy from New Zealand, you guys know her, of course, was here in Tokyo visiting the past 2 weeks on her honeymoon. I think I can say that, right? Yeah, I can say it because she already revealed her elopement situation on her channel a couple weeks ago. So congratulations to Miss Judy, the flower nose queen now, I guess we can call her. But if you're an OG watcher of hers, she was originally the ColourPop queen on YouTube. And she brought me so much stuff. Like, thank you so much, girl. You did not have to do that. I feel bad that she had to drag this in her suitcase all the way to Tokyo, but what can I say? I'm just so happy and blessed and thankful to have creator friends from pretty much all over the world that no matter where I go or whenever they come to visit Japan, it's always a meetup. It's always just vibes and good feelings all around. So thank you, Judy. She actually gifted me quite a bit of things from Flower Nose. Look at this gift box, you guys. It's like magnetic. I did go through this earlier, so I know what's already in it, but here we have some raspberry and New Zealand strawberry dark chocolate. I'm excited to try that out. Are New Zealand strawberries like famous or anything? It's the first time I've heard of them. But yeah, so this is just, I'm not gonna go through everything. Let me know if you want me to do a separate video like going through everything. Yeah, she got me so much stuff. This is very overwhelming, but today I just wanted to cherry pick a few items to try out for you guys. So this is the Flower Nose Strawberry Cupid Collection makeup palette in S02 Cupid's Mischief. I do plan on filming a proper swatch video in the golden hour sunlight and whatnot, but I don't know, I was just too impatient to try it out, so we will just try to not ruin the embossment today. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't own anything from this Strawberry Cupid collection actually, so this is my first time seeing the artwork. Which one is out right now? That bear house thing? It's like a teddy bear theme. But oh my goodness, look at those colors. It smells sweet too. I wouldn't say strawberry necessarily, even though that's what I assume they would be going for, but it just smells like very light and sweet. And yeah, this is in S02 Cupid's Mischief. And they happen to be the exact colors that I am into right now. So let me go ahead and dip into this blush color. I really don't want to ruin the embossment, but I said I wasn't gonna do this thing anymore where I like sit on items forever waiting for the perfect moment to unbox, waiting for the perfect, you know, weather so that I can catch the right amount of sunlight. I need to chill and just use my things, whether I buy them or somebody gives them to me. Nice things are there for us to use and enjoy, period. Okay, it's not like there's nothing to make yourself wait or delay your gratification for when it's already in your hands. You know what I mean? But yeah, so let me just go ahead and put on this blush. Ooh, very pigmented. This is a lot more pigmented than I imagined. So it's a very, very thin, like airy formulation, but very pigmented at the same time. And there's a lot of glitter, as you can probably see. So there is kind of going to be a silver cast over the blush color. If you're not into that, just be aware. I, for one, have never been afraid of a little glitter on my face. So I'm just going to tap, tap, tap a tiny bit more. And I don't think I need more than this. This is supposed to be for your cheeks, right? Don't let me find out that I'm using an eyeshadow. No, it says makeup palette, so I'm sure that means like a face multi-use type of palette, because if it was only an eyeshadow palette, it would say eyeshadow or eye color palette. Okay, very bright pink. You know what I would have done if I had the chance to swatch earlier, since it is kind of like very bright and stark against my skin tone, I would have probably, or like maybe from the next time onwards that I start using this palette, I think I would be better off layering a slightly lighter shade of pink underneath, just to help make that transition between the main blush color and my skin color a little bit more seamless. But we're just experimenting today, so no pressure or anything like that. Matter of fact, let me see if I can just go in and fill some of the, not patchy areas, but like I said, since the Flower Nose formula is so thin, I feel like it doesn't exactly cover my natural skin tone 100%. So I'm just gonna fill in the edges with PO2 from the Canmake Color Cheeks series. Did that make much of a difference? I'm not sure, but let's move on to eyes. Okay, so I have my eye primer on, and I'm going to go in with the base color, and I'm gonna use this raspberry looking pink here for my base. I always want to use, obviously, like as many colors as possible, if not all of them, if they're all within the same palette. But I'll be honest with you, I'm usually thrown for a loop on what to do with the first color, because it's usually, I find for me, too light to really do anything for it. It just either blends into my skin tone, or it's like white and chalky and not the main color that I'm looking to highlight in the look anyways. If you have any tips on what to do with the lightest color, especially in these Asian eyeshadow palettes, please do let me know. Okay, now less than like a minute after saying that, I know what to do with this really pastel pink shade here. Similar to like what happened with the blush, I feel like this color is, again, the color itself is like really opaque and bright, but the formula, Flower Nose powder formulas on the whole are really thin and like barely there, which is a good thing for the most part. But I don't know, it kind of gives a watercolor effect. So if you're like me and you're just picky about that kind of stuff and you don't like your skin tone kind of mixing in or interfering with the true color of the eyeshadow in the palette, this is where a color like this might come in handy to help you just like, I don't know how to describe, to help you just like fill in some of the spots that look a little bit too translucent, if that makes sense. And I mean, again, you don't have to do this. If you are into the translucent watercolor against the skin look, then do you go with that aesthetic. But for me, I just like everything to be a little more fleshed out. As you can see, I'm just using the light pink to fill in some of the spots that I want to look a little more saturated. And then actually, so using the same brush, I'm gonna go ahead with the deeper fuchsia pink here. Ooh, that is bright. Okay, yeah, definitely go in with a very light hand. I went in with like a medium hand, so it's still salvageable, but I gotta be careful. I could just leave it all pink like this. I don't really need to add brown, but since it's here, let's just go ahead and add some for the sake of it. Ooh, that is a really rich chocolatey brown. Not gonna lie, I do think that brown really just tied everything together. It added that extra smoky element that brings like a little more drama to the eye look. Okay, so we're gonna top off the top lid with this copper shade in the middle here. Is anything picking up? Okay, there it is. Wow, that is really coppery actually. You know what this is giving me? This is actually giving me kind of like an Arabian Nights, Middle Eastern type of feel almost. This color scheme, it's like really lush, rich berry colors with this really bright, coppery, glittery topper. I'm thinking like a belly dancer's outfit with her sash and the gold jewelry dangling off of her and everything. So this is the newest installment in the Canmake Plumpuku Coordinate Eyes palette series for the under eye area, as you can see from the diagram here. This is in the shade S02, Neo Chuchu Plumpuku. It is not natural looking, so don't use it if you're trying to look super natural. This is going to be a replacement for my S01 that I pretty much have destroyed, as you can see. And there's still a little bit left. I mean, technically I can still use like the brown shadow here to draw the actual tear bag line, but to be honest, I think I'm ready to let this palette go because it's just so grimy and gross at this point. But yeah, this is S01, which is more of a beigey colorway, and this one is like a whitish pink. So let's open it up and see how not natural or how exaggerated it's actually going to look. So it's kind of hard to see because it was hard to get my fingers into the little pans, but yeah, I personally think Canmake's Plumpuku Coordinate Eyes, their Tear Bag Eyeshadow Palette series, is probably the best thing ever to come out of their entire brand, because it's just like very intuitive, compact, easy to use, and the little tool that they give you is actually very, very effective at drawing a really natural looking tear bag situation. Okay, so just gonna use the pink shade. They didn't lie in the advertising. That is very much like a whitish pink color, right? You can tell that it's leaning pink. It's not just white or beige. Never ceases to amaze me the amount of subtlety that they're able to pin down. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes they miss the mark, but okay. So as some of you know, what I like to do to finish up the tear bag effect is I like to actually use the Canmake Creamy Touch Liner, and this one is, I forget the name, but it's shade number 12. I like to use this one against my lower lash line, because I feel like if I just put powder in there, it disappears very quickly, so I need something with more staying power. But then for the actual line under the tear bag, I will use the Plumpuku Coordinate Eyes shadow shade right here. Because if I use a creamy touch liner, sometimes it looks harsh. Creamy touch liner on the top and powder on the bottom. Yes, I know I'm super extra for this, and this is why I've been slowing down on the get ready with me's throughout this year, because it just takes so many damn steps. But hey, this is what I feel like elevates my makeup to the next level. This is why everyone's always asking me, what eyeshadow do you use? What lipstick do you use? What blush do you use at every single event that I go to? Little do they know, it's not really so much about the product. Well, it is about the product itself, but more so than that, it is my technique, okay? And how I put everything together. So now that that very imperative step is gone, I guess we're doing my eyeliner now.
Think about how geopolitics might develop over the next 10 to 20 years. Launch the ground invasion of Iran. Iran is supported heavily by Russia. The United States, after a few years of fighting, they give up and they retreat. NATO decides Odessa will be the last stand. So Russia encircles Odessa and lays siege to it. The Europeans don't understand why they're fighting this war. The European people revolt, and this causes civil war in France, in Britain. It causes political upheaval in Germany. It causes political revolution in Turkey. More pro-Russian, allowing for reconciliation between Putin and Europe. Putin is Dao Kanan, which is the same concept as the Orthodox idea of the Catacon, okay? The one who stops the Antichrist from emerging. And so Putin will initiate reconciliation between the Islamic world and the Orthodox world. It'll be an alliance between the Orthodox and the Islamic world.
Various things are still wet on my eyes, so we'll let that dry. And then in the meantime, I almost forgot, there's this highlighter pen here, gold. And I'm just gonna put a little bit on the edge of my nose. I don't know why this is not reflecting in the camera, but that is very, very holographic almost. I don't know if it's just my camera settings, but it's like a lot more reflective in person when I look in the mirror than it is on the camera. Actually, let me put some of this in my inner corners too. That looks a little bit more obvious. You can see the rose gold shift very clearly on the corners of my eyes. You know what? Let me just put some on my cheeks as well. Since for some reason it doesn't show up that strongly on my face. Cute. Okay, now let's finish up with lips. Another reason I haven't been doing many makeup videos lately is because my lips have been really weird for the past 2 weeks. There's like little bumps on them and they feel sore. And as you can see, they're very, very plump, even though it's not like I've been putting lip plumper or anything on them. Mainly, I've just been using my regular, Nivea Deep Moisture Lip Balm. But yeah, they were quite like painful to the touch. If I don't touch them or do anything, I don't really notice. But when I press them together and when I press my fingers to them, I noticed there were like little bumps, which have since kind of dried off, and now they're forming scabs and rubbing off. Sorry if this is TMI and gross. I think it might be this new skincare that I'm testing for a company here in Japan. Actually, I'm not supposed to disclose this. But anyway, there's no like brand name or anything on the bottle, so it's just this face cream that I'm testing for like a month or a month and a half, and they're gonna give me a $300 Amazon certificate or something, so I'll take it. I will take almost anything in this economy, sadly enough, but let me finish with a lip tint while I'm finishing this story. But yeah, I feel like my lips started to feel weird and sore after I started using this cream, which is weird because like I applied this all over my face twice a day. Those are the stipulations in the contract that I had with the company. So my face is totally fine, even though like twice a day of this is quite a thick cream. So it's a little bit much sometimes to apply it twice a day. But even so, I haven't gotten any breakouts. It hasn't disagreed with the rest of the skin on my face. Kind of perplexed as to why my lips alone are having kind of a reverse reaction. Again, I don't know for 100% sure that it's the lotion. I mean, it's not my usual lip products, that's for sure. I feel like this is too deep of a color for the eyeshadow look that we have today. I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna use this one instead, the Amuse Gel Fit Tint. Oh my god, why is this wet? I feel like there was a leakage situation. Yeah, I think this color matches better. Ooh, how cute. Okay, I feel bonita, I must say. What do you guys think? Okay, I feel bonita. This is what I needed, honestly. Just really quickly, a comment on this palette. First of all, again, thank you so much to Judy for being so generous as always and gifting me so much new makeup that I'm so excited to dig into the rest of it. Obviously, the packaging is like any other Flower Nose item, literal perfection. The fact that it's from the Strawberry Cupid collection. Thank you so much for thinking of me and the cohesiveness with my channel name and all of that. So I will say, it was one of those cases where I feel like I had to see the finished result of all of the shades on my face or on my lids as well. I had to wait until the very last step in order for me to see the vision all come together. The eyeshadows in this palette in particular, I do feel like it's a different formulation than some of the other Flower Nose collections that I own. Like, for example, the Mermaid collection palettes. Those were probably my favorite to work with in terms of the eyeshadow formula. It was more of like in my comfort zone. The mattes were super matte and opaque and blendable, and the shimmers were just, you know, chef's kiss. They did their job. They understood the assignment as usual. With this formula, I feel like I mentioned it a little bit throughout my application as well. It is really more of that like watercolor effect eyeshadow formula. So while, as you can see, the pigmentation is definitely there, it's definitely vibrant and all of that, I don't feel like you can ever build this up to be truly opaque. So if you're not into like the halfway there, you know, half saturated look, I would say this might not be the best palette for you. And also, I found that although, like, again, after I finished my eyes, like after every single color was layered on and I blended everything to my liking, that's when I did finally see the entire vision, and I do like the whole color story. I do like the finished product. However, I wasn't prepared, to be honest with you, for the amount of skill that I had to bring to the table. Like, I thought I was just gonna sit down and casually do a quick, simple, little, easy try on of this Flower Nose palette. It's an older collection, but it's new to me, so I thought that, you know, it's a pink, rose gold type of color story. It's not necessarily hard to work with, and this is pretty much, these are some of my favorite types of shades to work with anyway, so I thought it was going to be very, like, easy and intuitive, and I wouldn't have to work so much to make everything blend and come together, but that was not really the case. I feel like you do need to have a certain level of expertise in order to be able to bring out the best of this formula, if that makes sense. I didn't feel like it was the most beginner friendly thing, because I did find myself having to go in there over and over again to blend things to my liking. And again, it's just like a limitation with the style of formula. The fact that like it's super pigmented, but it's really thin at the same time. And there's virtually no fallout in this eyeshadow palette as opposed to, let's say, the ones from the Mermaid collection. I mean, in a way, that's a plus, because no one wants to deal with the eyeshadow falling all over their face when they're trying to craft their look. But it's also, I don't know, like, it's hard to explain. It's just so thin and finely milled that it doesn't really come off as a powder, right? It's kind of like once you get it onto your skin, it's just that one layer, and it's hard to kind of maneuver it around. But then you don't want to necessarily put more on, because then that just adds to the intensity. So yeah, I found it like hard to blend, in short. Not just the eyeshadow, but also the blush. Like you saw in the beginning, I was a little overwhelmed with how bright this was. So I had to bring in like a lighter blush to kind of tone it down. Maybe this is just personal preference, but I feel like the blush is giving me more of a sunburned effect than anything, which actually makes sense. And I feel like, again, it works with the whole strawberry theme, but it's not necessarily what I would want to wear out every single day. It's a little bit on the bright neon side. I like to keep it a little more subtle, a little more like mimicking the natural flushed color of my cheeks. And I feel like this color is very obviously not. But with that being said, I do love a rose gold and pink moment, so I'm going to play with this a little bit more. This highlighter really exceeded my expectations. I expected it to just be like another generic light gold type of situation, but it's actually quite holographic, I guess is the word. It doesn't have a flip necessarily, but yeah, it's quite holographic, and it's more leaning on the rose gold pink side of the spectrum than it is just like pure gold. Again, just as a personal preference, I do prefer rose gold to yellow gold. Canmake Plumpuku Eyes S02. This one is 11 out of 10 for me. I like this even better than the original S01. I think something about this one being more deliberately pinkish white, like pink leaning, just gives it that extra oomph. Beige is cool and whatnot, but the pink really highlights that youthful glass skin quality, like the classic, you know, mochi looking Asian skin that you would associate with youth and health and all of that. So I really, really like this shade. I'm glad I picked it up. All things said and done, I feel bonita. I'll link everything I used today in the description box as usual. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!